This video is made possible with support from ELO Gaming. The OnePlus 13 is here. It checks every box that an Android user could need in a smartphone, and then checks a few extra that are likely unnecessary, but still kinda cool. My name is Kozub, and I've had the OnePlus 13 for about 2 months now. From tropical beach locations to cold Canadian winters, I've tested this phone in a variety of settings, and I'm very excited to share my thoughts. Before we dive too deep into the design, the amazing camera system, and some of the interesting features, I want to share that I did receive this phone for free from OnePlus for review purposes. And for testing the new device, OnePlus provided travel, food, and accommodations for me to go hands-on with the phone ahead of its release. With that out of the way, one last thing, if you end up finding this video helpful or interesting, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. You may not realize what a big difference your one click could make in terms of my channel and my videos finding more people, but truly, even one new subscriber today could make all the difference. So if that is you, thank you so much. Let's start by looking at the design of the OnePlus 13, because OnePlus has done something really interesting with their latest flagship phone. It comes in 3 different colors, but each color is actually a different type of finish, which I think is very unique. The blue one, Midnight Ocean, has this microfiber vegan leather back, which has a soft leatherette feel. The white one, Arctic Dawn, has a glass-coated back that's probably the most similar to a traditional glass-backed Android phone, with the exception of being maybe more fingerprint resistant. And then there's the black one. This has really subtle wood grain on it. The color is called Black Eclipse, and as you slide your fingers across the back of the phone, you can feel this really fine wood grain texture, which also seems pretty resistant to getting gunked up from my sweaty hands. It's got to be way more difficult in terms of supply chain and manufacturing to have 3 different finishes, one for each color. So I think it's pretty cool that OnePlus is willing to put in that extra effort to do something different with their phone designs at a time when a lot of phones are looking very similar to each other. Beyond just color, some of the main features of this phone that's separated from others is the very large 6.8-inch display, which we'll talk more about shortly. It has a dedicated toggle switch on one side, allowing you to change between silent, vibrate, and ring notification modes. There's a volume rocker button on the other side with a power button below. The SIM card tray is on the bottom. Tragically, no micro SD expansion, which I thought there might be since this really seems to be a phone focused on giving people the most value and longevity in their hardware, but I guess that's kind of a thing of the past now. But one thing that most other manufacturers have gotten rid of and OnePlus is keeping is a charger in the box. This is fantastic. And while the phone is capable of even faster charging if you buy a more powerful adapter, it's still pretty nice to see that there's a company out there that will include this for free with their phone. Also, the OnePlus 13 ships with a screen protector already attached to the display. The cameras on the OnePlus 13 truly are a differentiating factor. Every phone manufacturer says their cameras are really, really good on their phones, but with OnePlus, it's really, really true. The Hasselblad camera is the most unique design feature of the OnePlus 13. It has 3 cameras on the back. I know it looks like 4, but that one on the bottom right is actually a sensor to help out the onboard cameras. Your main camera is a 50 megapixel camera with a very advanced Sony image sensor on there. The ultra-wide, also 50 megapixel camera with a 120-degree field of view. The telephoto camera uses a tri-prism design, which allows you to get a much better looking zoom in a small form factor. One of the big draws with the OnePlus 13 camera system is that you can dig into the pro settings very easily. That allows you to dial in the exact look and feel you want, but you don't actually have to do any of that stuff. The default settings are very well adjusted on their own, and with some AI-assisted work at the moment you're snapping your photos to improve the clarity, color, and blur, you get really nice results without the need to tinker. But of course, if you do know how to tinker with all those settings, then you can get very precise to get the exact photo styles that you're looking for. In my testing, the zoom on the OnePlus 13 is just shockingly good. That telephoto lens has the tri-prism design, allowing the phone to cheat its way to get a very long focal length and a very tiny form factor by reflecting the light in an efficient way. The result is higher quality optical-like zoomed photos. Or when you tap into the digital zoom, AI and image stabilization work together to help the phone better understand the shapes of faraway objects and then stitch them together in a way that gives you a better picture. One of the most unique features of the OnePlus 13 is probably something that you're not going to use, but it was pretty fun to test out. The OnePlus 13 has this exceptionally high certification for water and dust resistance. IP68 is the category of water resistance that protects your phone to a depth of 1.5 meters for 30 minutes. So if you drop this into a pool or a bathtub, it's A-OK. Not safe, though, for the ocean, as the salt water can wreak havoc with the internal components. This phone also has the bragging rights of being IP69 certified. This means that from 4 directions, under pressurized water jets, at temperatures up to 80 degrees Celsius, your phone will be okay for a short period of time, about 30 seconds. So, in theory, this thing could survive some time in either a washing machine or a dishwasher, but why worry about in theory if you have the chance to test it out firsthand? Do you want to see whether or not this phone can actually survive being put through a dishwasher like a dirty plate? Well, good news, I'm about to show you. But first, a quick thank you to Elo Gaming. Over the past year, I've tried nearly a dozen different mobile gaming controllers for gaming on the go. After many tests in many categories, I've been so impressed with the Elo Vagabond. It works with all USB-C devices on Android and iOS, even ones that have more unusually shaped camera modules like the OnePlus 13. Depending on device size, you can use it with or without a phone case up to a maximum of 8.2 inches. It has Hall effect joysticks and triggers for a snappy gaming experience without the dreaded controller drift over time. And it's great for playing your favorite video games on the go with remote play for PlayStation or Xbox. If you're interested in trying this out yourself, check out the link I put in the description of this video. Now, back to the washing machine test. As I mentioned, this phone is rated for up to 30 seconds under pressurized jets at water up to 80 degrees Celsius. I went far beyond that, leaving the phone in the dishwasher for many, many minutes. I pulled it out still soaking wet, and it worked flawlessly. The phone, to the touch, was still steaming hot from that dishwasher trip, but it still worked great. Then, without even enough time to let it cool down or dry off, I threw it into this portable clothes washing machine, and I also left it dunk in there for several minutes so I can get these great shots. And besides just the heat and the water, there was also some detergent in the washing machine, and just like with the dishwasher, the phone came out A-OK. Is this a scenario that most people will encounter? Maybe you'll forget your phone in your pants on laundry day. Doubtful you'll ever accidentally drop your phone in a dishwasher and not notice, but if you did, this phone can handle it, at least for a little while. Coming off the water testing, this is a good time to point out some unique features of the display, including OnePlus's AquaTouch 2.0 technology. If your phone has water on it from a dip in a pool or because of raindrops, you'll still be able to accurately swipe and navigate through your phone without issues. The display is also mitten-friendly, which is something that I appreciate as a Canadian resident. You can use your phone without having to take your gloves off. Now, this will only work with gloves of a certain thickness, but overall, it's a nice added feature and worked much better than I would have expected. Beyond that, this 6.82-inch 1.5K display is a big screen that doesn't feel too unwieldy thanks to the phone's surprisingly lightweight at 210 grams. The phone is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, which supports zero latency 120 frames per second, so gaming on this device looks absolutely incredible, especially because when you fire up a game, the phone automatically launches gaming mode to optimize for performance while balancing against battery life. A big display and powerful specs might make you think the battery life is going to take a hit, but between the efficiency of the Snapdragon Elite processor and the dual 3000 mAh batteries, a charge has been lasting me all day, no problem. The OnePlus 13 uses something called a silicon nanostack battery, which has a special coating to give it a better performance in a small form factor. This is all to say, I have no complaints about the battery. If you've never used a OnePlus phone before, you may be surprised to know that they have their very own Android-based operating system called Oxygen OS. It'll feel pretty familiar if you're coming off of another Android phone, and they put a lot of work into making Oxygen less busy with the latest iteration of it and more customizable. For me, it's been a pretty fluid experience. Jumping between a Samsung phone and then a Pixel and now OnePlus, there's nothing too jarring about the experience at an OS level. But more so than some of the competition, you can customize the OS to feel more like your own if that's something that you're into. Also, there's a feature that makes it a little bit easier when you're sharing files wirelessly with people using an iPhone. It's not perfect, but it's at least as fast as some of the third-party options and maybe a bit more smooth and easier to use. time to share the final thoughts. So I've been testing this phone for many weeks, and I'm really not finding too much negative to say about it. This is a really, really, really good Android phone. And if you compare specs to something like the new S25s, for example, you'll see a lot of similarities, and then notice the areas where OnePlus may be doing a little bit better than the competition. Anytime you switch between operating systems, there can be some pain points, and in the past, Oxygen OS has sometimes felt a little buggy, but I really haven't been experiencing that since I've been using Oxygen OS 15, the latest version that comes with OnePlus 13. Overall, this feels like a phone that's built for people who want good value for their money, but are also expecting to keep the phone for many years and don't want it to feel outdated. The biggest drawback would be if you're excited about getting this new phone, but you're used to buying through your carrier so that they're subsidizing the cost of your phone month to month on your bill. That's not going to happen. I'm in Canada, so maybe it's going to be different in some other carriers in some other parts of the world, but right now it seems like for many places the only option is to buy the phone outright. This is something I was already doing long before I got into tech review, so I'm used to it. But for people who've never had to buy a phone outright, it could be real sticker shock. In Canada, this phone costs $1,400, which is a lot of money to drop all at once. But at least in the case of OnePlus 13, I'd say you're getting a lot for your money, and arguably you're likely getting more for your money compared to buying some other premium Android phones outright that you might just be paying for a certain name. End of the day, I think the OnePlus 13 is just an incredibly impressive smartphone. OnePlus last year launched the 12 and some other devices, and that seemed to be a really big turning point in terms of like quality and user experience, being less for the tech-centric people and more for the every person. If you've never tried or considered a OnePlus device before, this is definitely the time. And that's a wrap on my OnePlus 13 review. Remember to check out the description of this video if you're interested in learning more about the Vagabond controller. I love using it. If you've already subscribed to my channel, let me offer you my most sincere thanks and gratitude. And if you haven't subscribed, just do it. Seriously though, it's not just a vanity thing having a large number of subscribers. It really does make a difference when it comes to working with brands, and that allows me to make more videos for you. So if you are my new subscriber today, thank you very much for doing that. My name is Drew Kozub. I hope you've enjoyed this review of the OnePlus 13. Thanks so much for watching.